I can still hear the sound of their laughter fading into the distance, the way the car engine growled as it pulled away, leaving me standing alone on that cold train platform. I was only 12 years old, a girl with pigtails, a pink backpack, and a heart that still believed her family would never hurt her on purpose. My name is Sophia, and this is the story of how my own mother turned my safety into their entertainment. How one joke shattered the foundation of my childhood and set me on a path I never imagined I would have to walk alone. It was supposed to be a normal family day trip. Mom had been in a playful mood all morning, humming in the kitchen, teasing my dad about his driving. My older brother Jake kept poking me in the back seat, calling me little lost puppy like he always did. We were heading to visit relatives 2 towns away, or at least that's what they told me. When we reached the busy train station, Mom turned around with that bright, sparkling smile I used to love so much. "Come on, sweetie. Let's get out and stretch our legs for a minute before the next part of the drive." I trusted her completely. I hopped out, holding her hand, feeling the excitement of being somewhere new. The platform was loud, announcements echoing, people rushing with suitcases, the smell of rain on concrete and distant trains. Then she stopped, looked at Dad through the open car window, and they both started laughing like they shared the funniest secret in the world. She leaned down, kissed my forehead a little too quickly, and whispered, "Let's see if you can find your way home. Genius. We bet you can't make it before dinner." Before I could even laugh or ask what she meant, she let go of my hand. She walked back to the car. The doors slammed shut. The engine started, and just like that, they drove off. I stood there frozen, my small hands clutching the straps of my backpack. At first, I thought it was a silly prank. Any second now, the car would circle back. Mom would jump out laughing, saying, "Got you." And we'd all hug and continue our day. But the minutes ticked by. 10 minutes. 20. The laughter in my memory turned into something colder. Strangers hurried past me without noticing the scared little girl whose world had just been pulled out from under her. That day, my mother didn't just leave me at a train station. She left me with a question that would haunt me for years. How could the person who was supposed to protect me turn my fear into their entertainment? I didn't cry right away. Shock held the tears back, but deep down, something inside me cracked open. A quiet, painful realization that the family I loved could choose to hurt me and call it a joke. Little did I know, that single moment was only the beginning of a much deeper betrayal that would stretch across my entire teenage years and force me to rebuild my life from nothings. That afternoon stretched into the longest hours of my young life. I stood on the platform until a kind older lady noticed me crying quietly and asked if I was lost. I told her my mom had gone to get something and would be back soon. I was too embarrassed to say the truth, that my own family had driven away laughing, betting on whether I could survive on my own. Eventually, I remembered the emergency coins Grandma had secretly sewn into the lining of my backpack months earlier. With shaking hands, I found a payphone and called my aunt, who lived in the next town. Her voice cracked with horror when she heard what happened. She drove straight to the station, wrapped me in her coat, and kept repeating, "Your mother has crossed a line this time, sweetheart. This isn't funny anymore." When we finally arrived at my aunt's house, I called home. Mom answered on the second ring, sounding completely relaxed. "Oh, you made it? Good girl. See? We knew you were smarter than you look." Dad chuckled in the background. Jake yelled something about owing him $5 because I hadn't called sooner. They had actually made a real bet, money on the table, about how long it would take me to figure it out. To them, it was harmless fun. A lesson in independence, they called it later. But for me, it was the first time I truly felt invisible. The people who were supposed to be my safe place had turned me into the punchline of their afternoon. When I got home the next day, the house felt different. Colder. Mom tried to hug me like nothing had happened. "Don't be so sensitive, Sophia. It was just a little test. You passed." Dad patted my head and said boys would have to learn to be tough someday, so why not girls too? I smiled weakly and went to my room. That night I cried into my pillow until my eyes burned. I kept replaying the sound of their laughter as the car disappeared. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those taillights fading. From that day forward, trust began to erode slowly, like sand slipping through my fingers. At first, I tried to pretend everything was normal. I went to school, did my homework, laughed at family dinners when they retold the story to relatives, always painting it as a cute family adventure. Our little Sophia is so independent now, Mom would say proudly, and everyone would chuckle. But inside, I was breaking. I started having nightmares about being left behind in empty places. I became hyper-aware of exits, of people's tones, of whether someone might suddenly walk away from me. I stopped asking my parents for help with anything important. If they could leave me once for a laugh, what else were they capable of? The real shift happened around age 14. I began noticing patterns I had ignored before. Mom's jokes weren't one-off. She loved being the center of attention, the fun mom who everyone admired for her wild personality. My feelings were often sacrificed so she could get a good story to tell at parties. There was the time she forgot to pick me up from dance practice in the pouring rain because she was chatting with friends. The time she read my diary out loud to Dad and Jake at dinner for laughs. Each incident chipped away at me, but the train station moment remained the deepest cut, because it showed me they were willing to risk my actual safety for entertainment. School became my escape. I threw myself into studies with a quiet desperation. Books didn't laugh at me. Teachers praised effort instead of mocking vulnerability. I joined the debate club, the writing club, anything that let me use my voice without fear of it being turned into a joke. But home remained painful. By 15, I had stopped sharing my dreams with them. When I talked about wanting to study psychology or journalism far away, Mom would wave it off. Why leave? We're your family. You'll always come back to us. The words felt like chains. The emotional struggle was exhausting. Some nights I felt overwhelming anger, a burning sense of injustice that my own mother could shatter my sense of security and then act surprised when I pulled away. Other nights, the sadness was heavier. I questioned if I was lovable at all. If the person who gave birth to me could treat me like that, maybe something was wrong with me. I started seeing a school counselor in secret. She helped me understand that their behavior said everything about them and nothing about my worth. Still, the pain lingered. I became guarded with friends, always waiting for the moment they might betray me too. Trust felt dangerous. Through it all, a quiet strength began growing inside me. I realized I couldn't control their actions, but I could control how I responded. I started saving money from babysitting jobs they didn't know about. I researched universities in different states, places where no one knew our family stories. I built a secret plan, a future where I would never again stand alone on a platform waiting for someone who might not return. By 17, the distance between us had grown into a canyon. Family dinners were tense. Mom sensed I was slipping away and tried harder with her charm, surprise gifts, sudden hugs, stories about how much she sacrificed for me. But the warmth felt forced now. Every I love you carried the echo of that train whistle. The breaking point came during my senior year. I had been accepted to a good university several states away with a partial scholarship. When I showed them the acceptance letter, Mom's face changed. Instead of pride, I saw panic. You're not seriously thinking of going there, are you? What about us? We're your family. Dad added, after everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? That night, the old wound reopened. I reminded them quietly of the train station day. Mom rolled her eyes. Still bringing that up? It was years ago. Get over it already. Her words landed like a final blow. In that moment, I stopped hoping they would ever truly see the damage they had caused. I understood that some people rewrite history to protect their ego. They needed to believe they were good parents more than they needed to acknowledge my pain. From then on, I focused entirely on my exit plan. I worked harder, saved more, and emotionally detached in small necessary ways. The girl who once cried on that platform had slowly transformed into someone who refused to beg for love that came with conditions. Graduation day arrived like a quiet victory. I walked across the stage, diploma in hand, knowing it represented far more than academics. It represented every night I chose studying over tears, every time I chose myself when no one else did. After the ceremony, as we stood outside taking forced family photos, I finally spoke the truth I had carried for years. Mom, Dad, remember the day you left me at the train station? You laughed. You bet money on whether I could find my way home. Well, I did find my way, and today I'm taking the next step, far away from the version of me that waited for your approval. I handed Mom a letter I had written months earlier. In it, I described how that single afternoon had changed how I saw love, trust, and family. I told her I had forgiven her not for her sake, but for mine, so I could move forward without carrying their weight. Then I walked to my aunt's car, where my bags were already packed. I was leaving the next morning for university and a new life. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom's hands trembled as she held the letter. Dad looked away, unable to meet my eyes. Jake had no jokes left. In the years that followed, success became my quiet justice. I graduated with honors, built a career helping young women heal from family wounds, and created a home filled with real warmth, the kind that doesn't come with conditions or punchlines. 20 years after that day at the train station, my phone lit up with missed calls, 29 from Mom and Dad. They had found me through distant relatives. The messages were a mix of regret, excuses, and sudden pride in the woman I had become. I didn't answer right away. When I finally did, it was brief and kind. I told them I was at peace, but some doors stay closed to protect the light inside. Looking back now, I realize that day didn't destroy me. It awakened me. Their betrayal taught me the most valuable lesson of all. Real love doesn't gamble with your safety. Real family doesn't turn your fear into entertainment. If you've ever been left behind emotionally, physically, or both by the people who were supposed to hold you closest, know this: you are not broken. You are not unlovable. You can find your way home, even if that home is one you build brick by brick with your own hands. Their joke became my strength. Their laughter became my fuel, and my journey became proof that sometimes the platform they abandon you on is exactly where your real journey begins. Thank you for walking through this story with me. If it resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to know they are stronger than the pain they were given. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been betrayed by family? How did you find your way forward? Protect your heart. Trust your own steps. And never be afraid to walk toward a future that chooses you back. Until next time, keep finding your way home. Please, subscribe for more videos.